We're doing 108.7 miles an hour. The car won't go any faster. And I'm thinking to myself, I should really be scared right now, except I have a resting heart rate. By breaking my back, it made me a better shock tuner. Yeah, like there's a lot of times you'll turn the lights off completely and just run with moonlight because it's safer. If I go more than a couple of days without jumping a car, it's like, I need this.
I'm really excited today. We have the opportunity for you to meet and get to know my good friend Matt Bell a little bit better. Matt Bell, for those of you who don't know, he owns a company called Desert Speed Shocks. And the reason that he owns a company called Desert Speed Shocks is because not only is he a race car driver, but he literally builds them from scratch. It's pretty insane. He races desert racing, 15 plus hour races. I can't even imagine going balls out for 15 plus hours.
It gets intense.
But it's exciting. Even if you're not interested in racing, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, Matt is like all of the other excellent people that I am fascinated by. It's these little details that make him that 1% better at everything in order to be the winner of races. And so, Matt, if you have anything to say, I'm sure I didn't do it justice, and we didn't cover a quarter of what you do. To give you an idea, we're in Huntington, Utah. It's pretty much in the middle of nowhere if you're from California. But these big race companies will ship their vehicles out here for Matt to build the suspension for him. You may recognize Matt from Diesel Brothers. He tuned up, I don't remember what vehicle that was. Was that the...
They had a spec truck, basically.
Yeah, a spec truck.
A trophy truck.
And so, like I said, today it sucks to be Joe because we just got back from hucking that thing off of some crazy jumps. Spoiler alert, it was not as exciting as I thought it was. I didn't even feel like we left the ground. I mean, 60 feet is nothing.
All right, yeah.
You don't even feel it.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard to describe until you've been in a truck or a car.
But I really appreciate you inviting me out because I know this may be something that you do every day, but in all reality, I think there's very few people on the planet that got the opportunity to do what I did today. And so,
right.
Like,
it's pretty rare.
I will always remember this. It doesn't matter how many times we do this. I will always remember this.
Well, let's keep this a regular occurrence, I should say. So,
right.
Let's go jump trucks and.
So I'm going to ask you some questions so that people know you a little bit better.
Okay.
It still boggles my mind that you can race a vehicle across a desert for 15 plus hours.
Yeah.
You have got to explain that a little bit. Like, how do you have to work your way up to it? Like you do 2 or 3 hours at a time, or like, how do you prepare for a 15-hour race?
Well, it's not always 15 hours. I mean, sometimes you'll only be in the car for 6, 7, 8 hours at a time.
Only.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem too intense. I mean, that'd be like driving to Las Vegas or something, right? Which isn't a big deal.
We need to throw a clip in of what the track looks like. It's not exactly like driving to Vegas.
Well, I mean, it kind of is, right? Like when you're in a truck, it's just like driving down the highway. It's smooth. You have air.
But
you get to talk to your pals.
The thing that I learned today was that golden lever in the background, all of those trips to the school parking lot when the snow was there, where you learn how to drift with the e-brake. That's actually how you steer that.
That's how you steer it. Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, they don't turn without the turning brake.
So this race truck is getting ready to go out for a race.
Yeah, just a local race, short 200-mile race out in Knowles, Utah. So it'll be a good shakedown run because that's its first race that'll be ever stateside, and it's made a lot of updates and changes since the original. Since I bought it. So
the crazy thing that I learned riding today that I never thought of. What is the miles per gallon that you get on that truck?
So that's a good question. It's extremely efficient. It's you could have the little green leaf sticker on the side. Because it's 1.9 miles to the gallon.
1.9 miles to the gallon.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane.
So,
yeah, that was awesome.
It's extremely efficient.
It roars.
Right.
There were a few times where I tried to talk to Matt in between giggling, and there was no communication possible. We weren't even able to.
It's pretty loud. It's fun. I took it to a parade, and you rev it up a little bit here and there, and everybody just like loses their mind. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. It's also pretty unique that you have your own racetrack that you've built out here.
Yeah.
Not to mention the one in your yard with all of the possible obstacles one could ever imagine.
It's the only way to set up a car properly is once you set it up and you kind of have a baseline, you have an idea of what it should do. I go and test it on those mesas we went and ripped on, or I test it here on the short course, and that's where you know if it's going to actually function for the end user.
Is that pretty common? Do most racers have access to that?
Not necessarily. A lot of my competition that builds shocks, they don't really have this available to them close because they're usually based out of cities. So it's a couple hour drive to a testing spot or things like that.
You said your competition that builds shocks. Do most racers have the ability to build the whole vehicle? That's got to be unique.
Yeah. That's more of a. There's a lot of really good builders out there, but some of your smaller teams are doing their own like in-house prep or fabrication, things like that. But you get into some of the higher end teams and they don't do their own. They don't do a lot of their own work. They'll usually sub it out, or they have, some of these bigger teams have 5-6 cars in their fleet, and that takes a really big group of mechanics and fabricators to keep them functioning.
So that's another thing I didn't think of. How many people does it take to race? Like what's a normal team size?
So, well, there's two different kinds of racing. There's what we would call like a loop race, where maybe you have 50 to 100 miles. We're in a big circle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're going through canyons, you're going through deserts, you're going through up and over mountains. You're going, it could be even in a loop race like that. So you'll usually have like 3 to 4 laps. So 200, 300, 400 miles, something like that, like a mint 400. Or you could have what's called a point-to-point race, where that would be more like a Vegas to Reno, where you start in Las Vegas and you drive all the way north through the desert until you get to Reno.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's a long day. That's 600-ish miles, give or take.
How do you prepare for? Like, you don't get to pre-run the course.
No, you don't. No, so you have map files in the truck. So you have like a GPS that's going to give you some guidance, some kind of like a turn by turn sort of. But even with a turn by turn, and the ability to zoom and pan out and kind of figure out where you are in relation to things, it's going to change, because every time a truck or a car goes through there beforehand, now the ruts are bigger, or now there's a giant boulder in the road and you're coming into it at 100 plus miles an hour into a corner. And so you have to have your navigator who's doing a lot of work, try to keep the driver safe and on track. And then not only that, you're also dealing with dust on top of that.
Oh yeah.
Or you could be racing at night. I just did a big race out in Nevada where you're racing at night in the dust. And
so at night, is the dust harder to see through?
It's horrible. Like there's a lot of times you'll turn the lights off completely and just run with moonlight because it's safer.
Wow.
So that's pretty common.
So the 15-hour race,
mm-hmm.
How many hours of that 15-hour race are you in the dust?
Well, a lot.
Is the majority of the racing done blind?
I mean, you could easily say half.
Wow.
But then sometimes you'll get into like maybe you battle your way through and you hit a bunch of guys and you make them move, you get around them. You're really rolling the dice and trying as hard as you can to get around guys so that you have what's called clear air.
Right.
Or clean air.
Yeah.
And then once you get into clean air, then you can really put down the time, because now once you have that advantage, then you can hold it wide because now you have good visibility.
So you're getting 1.9 miles to the gallon.
Mm-hmm.
How many refueling points are there in a 15-hour race?
So you'll usually have, it depends, but usually you can plan on between 10 and 15 pit stops.
So how many pit crews do you need?
So
Are they leapfrogging?
So they leapfrog on like a point-to-point race. They're leapfrogging because the race cars can get faster through the desert than you can drive on the highway.
Right.
And so when we do a lot of the bigger races, you have to have sometimes 2, sometimes 3 pit teams, and they're leapfrogging just to make sure they have fuel and tires at the next pit stop, because you're coming in hot. And if you're in a big group of people, you're trying to get around people in the pits. I mean, if your pit team is fast and you've practiced, that's where you can actually make up quite a bit of time. Because even if you're 5-6 seconds faster than the next guy, well, maybe you just got clean air and now you can really get a huge lead on them instead of battling the dust, 20 miles an hour slower.
I don't mean to smile, but as a kid, we drove a lot between Utah and San Diego, and there's a lot of desert.
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid sitting in the back seat, I was constantly looking out the window, pretending I was on a dirt bike flying along the side of the car. And then you said it's faster. You can get across the desert faster than you can on the highway. That's like, you just confirmed my childhood suspicions.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's nothing like doing 100 plus in the desert.
So now you don't have a specific team. You do, but there's times where you race for other teams, right?
Yeah. So I navigate quite a bit for other teams.
Okay. Where have you been able to go? Is most of it in the United States?
Mm-hmm.
I know you do a lot down in Mexico, right?
A little bit. That was last time I was down there was probably 2016.
Uh-huh.
I was down there on a dirt bike, just having a good time doing out at the 1,000.
You were racing a dirt bike.
I was pre-running, just having a good time, and then I supported some teams at like remote pit. I don't know, 20 or something is like right around Ojos.
I mean, I know we talked about this a little bit before, but it's not just enough that you started tweaking shocks. You had something got you beyond just doing the shocks to get to the point where you're racing them, to get to the point where other people are hiring you to race. Tell us a little bit about this process that you've gone through to arrive at this point where you're the rock star race car driver that invites JoJo to go and huck the truck.
Well, it's important. You got to huck the truck. It keeps people sane,
right?
Yeah. If I go more than a couple of days without jumping a car, it's like I need this. So, well, for me, I actually really like to set up cars. I like to do like a baseline setup on them, and then I like to actually race with the drivers, because when you're sitting in a car like that, it's like sitting in a laboratory. It's like, I know how these were set up. I know how the flow is in this particular area. I know what I want it to do as far as dynamics, like suspension dynamics, how it's handling, how it's going into corners. I want it to step out here. Maybe we need to change the geometry on the front end to make it grip here or not there. So for me, it's like sitting in a laboratory. I just get to nerd out for, X amount of hours while someone else is driving. And then I can actually I take a lot of notes, like mental notes. And then after I'm done racing with that person as a navigator, I'll go down and write down my notes. Hey, I liked it here. I didn't like it there. It wasn't handling these particular whoops how it should, or maybe it was a little bit chattery here. And then, or this driver is a little bit slow going into the corner, so I need to adjust for that. Or maybe we have too much weight transfer, things like that. And then I make those notes, and I'll build the suspension based on how they drive. And it gives me a huge advantage because I can make guys so fast by just spending time with them in the car or truck, figuring out how they drive, what they like, their preferences, things like that.
We were talking earlier about how when a rainstorm goes through here, what you like to do.
Yeah, it's pretty rare for rain out here in the middle of nowhere, but when either we have wind or rain come through and it kind of like wipes the desert clean, I like to take fast cars or trucks out, run them as hard as I can, basically at race pace, to figure out where they are hooking. It gives me basically a clean canvas, so I can see where we have good contact patch in corners, where it's skipping, where it's not hooking, things like that, where it's stepping out. Maybe it's stepping out in a soft section. Maybe it's not hooking in a rutted corner. So, and then I'll take my like little side-by-side out and I'll actually just, go like 3 or 4 miles an hour and just kind of study how it's handling the different terrain and where I have good contact patch, like I mentioned.
How in the world do you adjust for the fact that, especially with the desert, like you said, there's soft stuff,
Mhm.
and then there's hard rocks.
Correct.
How do you adjust for that with one set of suspension?
So you kind of just have to find a happy medium. You know, there's going to be some give and take no matter what you do. When you get into those deep silt beds, there's not really a lot you can do. You kind of just hit them as hard as you can, try to find some sort of traction. Like a lot of your limited cars, they'll actually go off through the bushes. I mean, they're driving over trees, they're driving over anything they can to get traction, because once you get stuck in those, I mean, you can be buried 2-3 feet deep, easy. And sandboards aren't going to get you out. I mean, you have to get winched out, more or less. Man. So you could be stuck there for an hour or 2 hours until, like they call it like rescue or your pit team or whatever.
Right.
It can get out there to actually pull you out until it's, the course is safe enough to do that.
Yeah.
So you try to avoid getting stuck in those at all costs. And so you're on the rev limiter, or you're driving through bushes, or anything you can.
Yeah.
In the rocky sections, it's more going to be in your like slow speed valving. Spring rates are going to have a more of an effect on that. Also tire pressure, tire compound. So like a Toyo is going to feel much different than a BFG in rocky sections or in high speed corners. So tire compound makes a big difference. Air pressure makes a big difference. Wheel offset, like how this overall suspension geometry, everything affects something.
How many different courses do you have to have different tires for?
So most teams they kind of have their like go-to. I'm a huge fan of BFGs on like your heavier trucks, more of your like your class ones, cars and trucks that have more power. I really like tensors on limited cars because they're a very smooth compound, and they're usually, the tires are more crowned, and so you have a narrower contact patch. And in so doing, you can make it have wheel spin on, like a car that doesn't have very much power. Mm-hmm. And so you can start kind of driving them like they do have more power, because you're not hooking as much, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I do like tensors for that reason. And plus they're really light. But on like your heavier cars, heavier trucks, I like a BFG because they're a little bit wider footprint. You have more traction, more grip, more traction.
Yeah. So
it's hard to say, but it's not really a hard, fast answer.
Yeah, that makes sense. My mind gets distracted because I think back to some of the stuff that we talk about that I didn't even think mattered for racing. The first time I rode with you, the thing that I noticed more than anything else, I think of you as a laid back guy. But when you say geeking out, I feel like when you're driving, you're the ultimate geek because the lines are so crisp. Like, for those of you that don't know, the desert it's slop. Like,
it's pretty harsh.
In my mind, if I was driving it, I don't even know if I'd be able to keep it on the lines. And yet Matt picks the lines beautifully, knows exactly where to hit some of the brake and knows exactly where to gun it. It's distracting because it's so fascinating. You don't even think about that. Like, one of the things that I hear a lot of people say in experts in anything is you have to become an expert in the basics. And when I think of like, man, if I could be a race car driver, what does that mean? It's like, well, I want to go fast. And yet going fast sometimes is being
a detriment.
Accurate or being, in order to go fast, you got to be able to go slow.
Right. Yeah. They there's an old saying that's smooth is fast and fast is smooth.
Yeah.
And it's very applicable.
The funny thing is that's actually a saying in SWAT.
Is it really?
Yeah. I guess we borrowed it from you.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of the things cross over.
Yeah. I'm sure the adrenaline side of it is very similar.
You know what's funny is this is stupid, but I'm sitting back. I'm racing the Baja, I'm the Nevada 1000. So that they called it the Baja. What they call it? It's held by Legacy Racing, and it's called Baja Nevada the Long Way. So it was 1,035 miles, and that was 3 weeks ago now. And so I had the night section with a driver, so I was navigating for a driver at night. And so, we got in the car late evening and basically got out like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I'm sitting there looking down at the dash, We're doing 108.7 miles an hour. The car won't go any faster. And I'm thinking to myself, I should really be scared right now, except I have a resting heart rate.
Right.
And I'm like, maybe I'm a broken person.
Right. Now with all of these heart rate monitors, I don't know how much I can talk about it, but the weird thing is when we get activated, my adrenaline pumps.
Yeah.
And then we get on scene. We had one, it was a murder suspect out of New York, and he had 2 small kids in there with him. So we can't wait. We got to go. And so without giving up too much of what our tactics are, we snuck into the house, and we're sneaking up to his door, his bedroom door. And I remember feeling so guilty because I was breaking into another man's house, and I'm thinking, this is so stupid to feel guilty for this.
So weird.
Yeah, but like it was just it was a surreal feeling.
Yeah.
And my heart rate doesn't go up. In fact, a good friend of mine had to take a shot, and he had a heart rate monitor on, and this was legit hostage. Very rarely is it like, this is what you train for, but this is not a very common thing. And his heart rate monitor recorded everything. And and I know the conversation that was going on between him, the other officers, and the suspect, and the heart rate's just until it happened. And then all of a sudden, then the heart goes crazy.
Right.
So yeah, I know what you mean. But I mean, we call it stress inoculation. You get used to it. Like because I was kind of thinking about that while we're driving this. My wife is had a bad experience with a wreck when she was younger. Right. And so she's very scared of me going for rides. And I'm trying to pretend like I'm not loving this as much as I am. But because of her concern, I'm thinking I should probably be concerned, but like I'm too busy giggling, Nice. So. Nice. Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities.
That's awesome.
And it sounds like in a lot of ways we grew up doing similar things together. Yeah.
Just dumb stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Farm boys.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think about when I think about your story is here he is, a mountain bike racer. Did young Matt Bell ever imagine himself racing world-class vehicles at that point, riding mountain bikes? Like what was the process? And the thing is, like any other progression, there's a million failure points. There were a million times throughout this process where you were not going to move on, but you did. You learned and you grew and you progressed, and you are where you are right now because of what process?
Failure.
I'm not. No, seriously.
I'm not kidding. Like, failure is the best
teacher.
Yeah. I keep thinking like it's the school of hard knocks, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you think that you have, you might think that you have a really good setup on a car, or that you're moving in the right track in life, or just with a task. Right. And then all of a sudden it's like, reality. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
is this where we start talking about the chiropractor?
I don't know. We could.
I was asking Matt if he's ever rolled a vehicle, and that was probably the stupidest question I've ever asked him.
Lots, many times. So
he went to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor asked him, "Have you ever been in a car accident?"
It's like, yeah. Like every 2 weeks or so, I get in a car accident. He just looks at me like, "What's wrong with you?
Right?
Are you broken? Like, are you mental?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's
well, and that's got to be part of it too. Like most people would probably freak out the first time they roll it, and they're like, "Okay, I'm going to go be an accountant."
Yeah, and you do see that sometimes, like because desert racing looks sexy, right? It's like, oh, you get in a truck and you drive as fast as you can. Yeah, it's way sexy
until you don't.
Until you only finish one race a year because you're always braking or other things you can't handle. And the desert's a harsh mistress.
Yeah,
and she is always trying to destroy your truck or car. So, not sure I was going with that, but.
What I remember from what we've talked about, some of the stories that you've said, is that a fascination for the shocks and how much the shocks affected racing in mountain biking was what started you down this path.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So kind of how I got my start. I mean, if I go all the way back to being a kid, I've always been intrigued by race cars, going fast, making bad decisions, things like that. In fact, I remember it was probably 1991 or maybe even 1990. I saw a yellow Class 1, which is like an open wheel buggy. I remember watching that on ABC Wild World of Sports jump the road at Laughlin. So in Laughlin, Nevada, they have a short course. It's like a 15-mile loop race, and they close down the highway, and they have this huge roller up to the highway, and then you jump the highway. And I remember watching that on TV as a little kid, thinking, I want to do that. That was the coolest thing in the world. And well, now I've done that personally. I've jumped this highway many times in other people's cars and my own cars. And so, yeah, I guess I'm fulfilling like a little childhood sort of thing. But
I mean, honestly, the first time you jumped that highway, did you flash back to being a kid and say,
I was like,
I just did it.
It was slow motion. I like reached over, gave a high five in the air. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm going to tell you the story as soon as we land.
Right. I know you can't hear a word I'm saying, but we'll talk later. Oh, you're mic'd up. Yeah.
Well, you got comms between you. But so yeah, I remember that so vividly. And every time I go and jump that highway now, it's just like, I remember being a little kid watching that, from a helicopter, basically. I had a helicopter flying by watching this yellow Class 1 jump that highway. And if I ever see that Class 1, I'm going to buy it.
Right.
But that's another story.
Yeah.
And then, I got into mountain biking more in my later years. So I was sponsored to race mountain bikes in the late 90s and early 2000s. And I kind of sucked at it, because I just didn't have the talent to be fast. And so I started messing around with my shocks and forks, because it was a hardtail. And it started making tweaks, seeing what worked, what didn't work, kind of got nerdy. I was tearing those things apart all the time, trying to get anything out of them so it could be smoother and faster, and started winning. And that's kind of how it's like, hey, there is a reason you buy a very expensive fork or a shock, and it's not going to be perfect. I mean, it's going to be set up close, but there's always more on the table.
Yeah.
And so then I had a friend with a race truck hit me up in 2015, and maybe it's 2014, 2015, somewhere around there, and asked if I could tune his truck and get that kind of set up. He went out, won his first race after that, and I thought, well, there's something to this. So that's where I opened up my shop. And been in business for a little over 10 years now, and been
backlog.
Yeah, been
crazy.
2 weeks out ever since.
Yeah.
So now I do shocks for a lot of people.
That's awesome.
So, and then from more of the tuning aspect of it and kind of perfecting the craft, I like to navigate. I like to co-drive for different race teams, for different drivers, because then I can really take their driving style into account and kind of build a shock or change suspension geometry based on how they drive.
Wow, that's crazy.
It changes everything when you get to sit in a car and watch them drive at race pace in the most harsh conditions possible.
Yeah.
And like, maybe you're out pre-running or out testing. Well, it might work great during testing, but everybody thinks that they're driving at race pace during testing. Well, no, you're not. When you get everybody else there and everyone's gunning for position and everybody's on edge as far as their adrenaline and you drive a lot harder than you think you are.
Yeah.
And because everything's on the line, right?
Yeah.
And so you get in those situations and you can really, really start fine tuning a car for that specific driver.
That's awesome.
And then start making adjustments, and they keep getting faster and faster, and they don't realize how or why they are. It's like, okay, I'm going to go and make this adjustment. And yeah, based on the feedback from the last race, let's make these adjustments and let's go faster.
So now I hear what you're saying, where you're every aspect mechanically, you're fine tuning and tweaking and perfecting. But what surprised me was how physical racing was. I don't know why, but I didn't think of it being physical. You just sit there in the seat until I did it once. And then it's like, okay, this is pretty physical. This is a pretty good workout.
Yeah.
What do you do mentally, physically? What are some things that you do to get better at racing that have nothing to do with the machine?
All right. So I like barefoot hiking. I think it's you have to put your purse down if you're going to go barefoot hiking.
Right.
And so it sounds kind of silly, but just overcoming the will to quit. Because like when you're in a car, I mean, there's been times where it's 115 degrees on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's when you're starting the race. You're starting it in July in Southern Nevada. And it's just, your face is like melting off. And that's when it's like, okay, now let's go and drive for the next 12 hours.
You throw a furnace in front of you that's warming the air up even more going across you.
Right. Well, there's some times where it'll get so hot, your shoes will start melting to the floor.
No way.
Yeah, your race shoes will start melting to the floor. And it's like, and so then you're in 3-layer suits and you have your helmet on and you have all this fire gear on and you're not trying to direct the airflow that's coming into the truck. You're trying to direct it to the radiator. So, your oil doesn't melt down, your various oils. So you're not trying to like direct it to yourself to keep yourself cool.
Okay, now wait a minute. You just said various oils.
Yeah.
You're not running one oil?
Well, I'm talking like transmission coolers, oil coolers, radiators.
Right.
Sometimes you'll have differential coolers for like your axles. Like there's lots of different oils going on and lots of different coolers.
Wow.
You're trying to keep everything cool, like power steering fluid.
Yeah.
Like, people don't think about that, but yeah, you'll boil it. Or shocks. I build shock coolers all the time.
Boil your power steering fluid.
Yeah.
Wow. I was thinking terrain when I think desert, but now you're racing through literal hell. Like this is a furnace that you're racing through.
Yeah, you're in a furnace with no airflow.
How do you think,
and you have like a pumper, you have fresh air being pumped in your helmet, but it's still putting in 130, 140 degree air.
Whoa.
So
that'd be even worse.
Is it cool? No.
Is anybody bougie enough to have AC? Or?
Yeah, I mean, there are like some air conditioned like pumpers like that are pumping fresh air in.
Right.
And they make a little difference, but maybe 20, 30 degrees.
Right. It's only 120 degree temperature air coming in. And this is refreshing.
Right. That's refreshing.
Right.
And then your water, sometimes you'll have onboard water.
Right.
But that stuff gets lava hot within a few miles. Right. So you're drinking hot water. You're getting like roasted with hot air.
Right.
You're getting mounds of silt, or sometimes you'll hit a cactus. And so you got cactus stuck in your suits. You're trying to throw cactus out the window while you're racing. And it's not like you're going to stop and pull over.
Yeah.
Because, well, then you're going to get stuck in the dust or whatever, or get hit. So you got to keep going. Like I did a tire change. I actually had my son racing and he decided to get a flat tire because he made a bad line choice. And he parked me around on top of a cactus. So I jump out of the car and I'm like in full, like, let's change the tire mode as quickly as possible. So
into a cactus.
Yeah. So I jump out, get cactus, and get the tire changed. Well, I realized later I have cactus needles in my back, like in my race suit.
For the rest of the race.
Yeah, for the rest of the race. So another 100 miles where you're like sweating and cactus needles are stabbing you in the back and you're getting like shaken to death. It's sexy, right? Everybody wants to do it.
When you're talking about the hot water, in Hell Week, we had camelbacks because you're just pounding the water.
Right.
And the problem was the water, because it's against your skin, is the same temperature as your body. And so I kept choking on it because I couldn't feel it in my throat. You're trying to get it into your stomach and not into your lungs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ours is worse because like you get sometimes, well, depending upon what kind of car or truck you have, you might have a metal bottle, right?
And so it's blazing hot.
Yeah, well, it's next to the exhaust.
Right.
So now you're drinking 130, like you're basically drinking.
Sipping tea the whole race.
Yeah, you are. And it's yeah. So
that's crazy.
It's a lot of it's just mental, right?
It absolutely has to be mental because everything you're saying is something that it makes you want to say, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm going home.
Let's not do this anymore.
Right.
I like going fast, but these cactus needles in my back are not exactly making me want to go fast right now.
Right. Or you blow a line, you got a tree branch that comes through. So you're like trying to throw tree branches out or chunks of cactus. Or,
right.
Not only that, you're dealing with And you could be like I was racing at night, and so I'd already chased half the race doing pit support. And so you've been awake for like 25 hours at this point. You start getting in a car and it's like, okay, now let's go race. And it's 100 plus degrees still. And so you're dealing with like fatigue and, everything is mental. Like really, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. My body hurts.
Have you been blessed with a really poor memory? Like every time you get done with the race, you're like, hey, I want to go do another race again.
That's the thing. It's really like, you get out of the car and it's like, this is so dumb.
This is so dumb.
This is the most stupid thing in the world. Like, what are we doing this for? We're spending a pile of money to race people we don't know, to finish, maybe. And when you get to the end, you get a high five because there's no money in it.
Right.
It's like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. And yet I can't not race.
Right.
I keep going back like at least once a month. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Right. Wait, don't you remember last time?
Right.
Remember how stupid that was?
Yeah.
Remember how, like 3 years ago, you broke your back and you still want to race? Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about the chiropractor, but you literally broke your back.
Yeah, I broke my back.
How long did that take you out? Like, what did you do?
So I was racing in, where was I at? I was in Jackpot, Nevada. We made a bad line choice and basically cased the car on the side of the middle of the car hit a ravine on the other side. 50, 60 miles an hour.
Oh.
And so
no suspension.
Yeah, because the chassis is just hitting right into that wall.
Yeah.
So it was an instant stop.
Oh.
And so, I basically had multiple compression fractures and broke my back. So they brought the ambulance in and the ambulance got stuck. So they had to winch it out with me in the back. And then they were in like a big hurry to get me there because they had to drive to like Twin Falls. So it was like 2 hours in the ambulance and I'm like messed up, like in the fetal position because I couldn't feel, my legs wouldn't work. And I'm like, great, I'm now paralyzed. This is super rad. And then they jumped the ambulance over the railroad tracks because they were going too fast. So it's like, I'm in the back, I hit the roof. It's like, And anyway, yeah, I got there and they x-rayed me and they're CT'd the back, or I'm not sure of the terms. Yeah. But there's like, well, we could put you in like a back brace and you'll probably be messed up the rest of your life. I'm like, cool. They're like, and then the nurses, no joke, they literally gave me a high five as I was walking out and said, don't get hooked on narcotics. I'm like, man. Wow. Thanks, guys. That's super.
Motivation.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, your life's over. So, my wife basically, I called her and she's like, I'm like, hey, I'm in the hospital. I need to get a ride home. She's like, wait, are you joking? I'm like, no, I broke my back. And so she came and picked me up and I slept for like a week. And then it took me like a year before I could really get back to it. And then I had a friend call me up. He's like, hey, I know you broke your back, but do you want to come co-drive a race? I'm like, maybe. He's like, okay, well, it's called the Midnight Special. It's at night and we're going to go race, a 600 horsepower buggy at night. And I think that'll be a great way to break you back into racing. I'm like,
get back on the horse.
Yeah. So I did.
And then you're back at it again.
Yeah. And now I just do this. So,
but honestly, that's pretty incredible to come back from something like that, because there are a bunch of racers who are now wheelchair bound.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the silver lining is by breaking my back, it made me a better shock tuner, because now I'm more cognizant of how the car feels, how the drivers feel. Yeah. And so it sounds silly, but I've become better at my trade by having a broken back.
Yeah. And it shows. Like, you almost took a lot of the fun out of it, because we're landing and I'm expecting to feel it and I'm not even feeling it. Like, that's not fair. I mean, I get it. It's great for the racers, but it's like, oh, come on. Mm-hmm. Let's do it again. Maybe we need to huck it higher.
Yeah, we need to go bigger. Hit it harder. You got it like 3 feet of air that time.
Right? That was awesome. Matt, I appreciate you having us out here today. I got to ask you, what's next?
What's next? Well, 3 weeks from now, we're racing the truck. So it's going to be a good shakedown race for us since it's made so many changes. and the truck's never raced stateside before. So it's going to be very exciting. So,
Where I forgot to ask you, this truck is actually kind of a famous truck.
Kinda. I mean, it's been around.
Yeah.
So it's actually the old 4-wheel parts truck, and it has lived its whole life in San Diego. And
it loves the altitude.
Yeah, it's struggled. It's struggled,
Yeah.
but being at 6,000 feet here, we're very high desert.
Right,
very
right.
high desert. So
I believe you said it was blowing coal.
it was rolling coal like
Rolling
a diesel.
coal.
The gasser was.
Yeah.
Because it's only lived at like 15 feet above sea level its whole
Right,
life.
right.
So, yeah. As far as that, we got a race coming up in Knowles, so it'll be a good shakedown, just a quick 200-mile race. So maybe 6-7 hours in the truck, no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. And then after that, there's I'm still racing. Let's see, the Legacy Series, and then I do want to race some. There's another series I want to run with the truck this year, and then we're racing UTV in Cedar City, so we're gonna go try to ruin someone's season down there. So that's gonna be exciting. And then I have a Class 5 up there on the lift that's never gonna get done, but it's pending.
Is this the one that you were still working on last time we were here?
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is the one we ran.
No, we've
Oh.
never run this car. It's gonna be there for a while. But no, I'm kind of a buggy dork still, even though I got trucks. But yeah, so that's called a Class 5. It's basically like a Volkswagen Bug with a full race car underneath.
Nice.
So, yeah, that'll be cool.
Awesome.
So that'll get done, and then yeah, I don't know. I'll probably just keep making bad decisions and keep buying race cars because I keep doing that.
Well, I appreciate inviting us along for the bad decisions. I'm not going to call them bad decisions because I always get excited to come out and play with you.
Maybe they're investments.
Yeah, maybe they're investments.